Hey, what's going on, guys? Over here. Welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 Career Mode, episode number 31 today for the British Grand Prix here in Season 2 at Silverstone. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Austrian Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. That episode was the first episode post-patch of the game, so if you're confused by looking at this chart and wondering why McLaren and Force India are a little bit closer together than they were previously, that's why after the patch, obviously, now you can see McLaren still bringing upgrades, actually. So what could have been at this point, McLaren could have been right up there with Ferrari at this point, but only now are they re-overtaking Mercedes now in the performance chart. And you can see Force India now. Force India are really the biggest winners out of this post-patch era now of the F1 2018 Career Mode, because they're right there now, right behind Mercedes. And, you know, with the straight line speed and reduction of drag maybe in the Force India compared to the Mercedes car, they could be even beating the Mercedes this episode maybe during the race. You can see how far Renault dropped off, and you can see Sauber doing some great work there to kind of still be ahead of Williams and Toro Rosso. But you can see the fight is still very close between myself, Red Bull and Ferrari there right at the top on pure pace on paper. Obviously, Austria showed off our car to be very dominant. Silverstone, a bit of a different circuit, so maybe a different story. We'll see. Looks like Red Bull have maybe brought further updates to this race, so we'll have to see how it goes. Let's go straight into qualifying then and see how we do over one lap.
Here we are then, waiting for the green lights to get qualifying underway for the British Grand Prix. This is a track that tends to ask quite a lot of the tyres, both front and rear. So is it fair to say a great deal of management will be needed in order to do well here?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
So we're going to start qualifying off here then with a system fault here. So it just sat in the garage waiting for this to be done. So 2 minutes shouldn't be too bad in Q1. Obviously, that's not too much time, actually. It would have been a lot worse if it happened in Q2 or Q3. It's been a long while, actually, since we had a fault like this. I think the last one was, I'm trying to think, all the way back to maybe the Hungarian Grand Prix in Season 1. In Season 1, we had about 3 of these over the course of the season, but the first one occurred here in Season 2 all the way at round number 12. So very, very odd that's taken that long. But I guess the reliability of our car obviously has not been too bad. I don't know if that's connected at all, but anyway, we get on the way in Q1. You can see there that first flying lap was not actually good enough. We're all the way down in P19, so it was a very slow and, well, basically just bad lap all around. I was getting used to the car, getting used to the circuit, trying to dial myself in. So the second lap here, you can see a lot faster. Also, at the same time, you can see it's very overcast, so maybe the track was a little bit cold and maybe just the rubber of the tyres had to kind of get heated up a little bit more on the second run, potentially, but also just getting used to how this new lighter car from Season 2 feels around Silverstone to Season 1. And like I said in Season 1, also the track for Silverstone definitely feels a little bit weirder on this year's game, definitely to last year in terms of getting used to it. I mean, last year was very, very easy, very favourite track of mine, actually. But on this year's game, definitely when you start off in practice in the very start of qualifying, just has this weird kind of, I don't know, funky vibe to it that I have to kind of dial myself into it, unlike, you know, previous games where Silverstone's a very natural flowing track to me. But anyway, move into Q2 then. We're on our flying lap now, but just like Q1, I don't think this is going to be a very electric lap time here, so we might have to go again as we go through the final 2 corners, trying to plant the power as early as we can. A little bit of a shimmy on the right-hand side as the power gets away from me, and you can see at the moment as we fast forward through then, we're going to start tumbling down the timesheet a little bit in P8 there at the moment, and even that in P8 is not comfortable because Bottas is beneath us as well as Van Dorn, and they might have the potential to go faster. And by the time I go out for my second run then, with pretty much no time left in the session, this is my one and only run, there's no time to go again after this. We're under 1 minute left, or under kind of 20 seconds left of the session. We're down to P11, so it was a very good decision that I went out there, otherwise I would have been knocked out. You can see at the moment I'm in a Mercedes sandwich here of Hamilton and Bottas. So Hamilton only just about maybe making it into the top 10 for now, and Bottas is actually cleanly going to be out of Q2 if he doesn't improve himself along with me. So at the moment I don't have Hamilton setting another lap time if he's behind me on track, but if he doesn't hurry up, he might get knocked out of Q2 at his home Grand Prix. And pretty much, I mean, obviously I'm a rookie in Formula 1. I mean, it's only my second season, so no longer a debutant rookie, but I'm still very new to the season. So this is definitely Hamilton's home turf, and so it'd be a very, very big upset if I'm able to knock him out in Q2 on his home ground. We go across the line, and at the moment there you can see we have done just about that. Sebastian Vettel makes it through there. Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas knocked out. Both Mercedes big shock out of Q2. Fernando Alonso tops the session. So, ironically, I was speaking about McLaren getting nerfed and how that was a little bit annoying for them and how Force India have improved. Alonso showing some good pace in Q2 then, but of course Q2 to Q3 can be a very different story. But both Mercedes out, that's a big shock here at their home Grand Prix. Obviously, technically their factory is based here, even though they're a German team. So that will not be a great sight there, especially for the reigning world champion Hamilton. That will be a horrendous sight. But at the moment now in Q3, we set a first lap time on a scrub set of tyres, which means there were a tyre I already used. I think it was the same tyre using Q1. I set a banker lap time essentially. Now we're on a brand spanking new set of tyres because I burnt up 2 runs in Q1 and Q2. I only had 1 set of new soft tyres to use, and this is the second run in Q3. You can see we are gaining a lot more time, so at the moment we're down in P9. Hopefully it's not going to end up being P9. We've gone purple in the second sector there, finding a lot of time through Maggotts and Beckett's, and so as we go through Stowe down towards the last chicane, then can we try and reduce the time we're losing on the top right there? Might be tricky because the AI are usually very good through these last few turns as we go through to the last corner, getting the power down as early as we dare across the line, and it's going to be a P4 for us, but it's going to be again Kevin Magnussen with another pole position. This man is on fire and form at the moment in qualifying as of late. 2 poles in a row for my teammate. Last time out though, we spoiled the party and we got the win at the Austrian Grand Prix. Can we do it again? Who knows? We have to try and overtake both Ferrari cars, Vettel and Raikkonen, before we close up to Magnussen. It's our home race, so you like to hope I can get those extra few tenths on Magnussen in the race, but we'll have to see. But he's definitely been doing the job against me over 1 lap. I mean, you guys know me. I've never been a great qualifier. I consider myself more of a racer. I can make up positions in the race against the AI. In qualifying, though, I've never naturally had that 1 lap pace and instinct to pull it all together and make no mistakes over 1 flying lap. So I'm not too fussed about that, and I'm confident in what we can do in the race. It's going to be a pretty simple one-stopper race, I think, if there's no rain. So I think it's just down to doing the talking on the track, really, when it comes down to the 5 red lights. So let's go into the intro then and go to that race.
We're right back where it all began. The very first World Championship Grand Prix was held here at Silverstone in 1950, with Giuseppe Farina taking the top step of an all-Alfa Romeo podium. He earned 9 championship points that day on his way to the inaugural title. His winning total at the season's end, just 30 points. My, how times have changed. So let's see who can reach the top step of the modern podium today. The 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula One faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase, and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones on the Wellington and Hangar straights. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Kevin Magnussen yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Raikkonen, who'll start P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, the engineer, Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen, Alonso, Perez, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, Van Dorn, Sainz, Charles Leclerc and Ericsson, Gasly, Hartley, Sergei Sirotkin and Esteban Ocon. Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So no penalties for my teammate or the 2 Ferraris ahead of us, so it is going to be a straight scrap then into turn 1 between us 4 then, and obviously also the cars behind us, depending on how we get away. But we're on the soft tyres, of course, that we qualified in Q2 with, and we're going on for that one-stop, easy, simple strategy then to medium tyres. I don't think we're going to be changing that, even if anything really changes in the race, because the pit lane time is so long here in Silverstone. So let's just get into it then, reducing the fuel a little bit, and we're going to get into the 5 red lights then here for the British British Grand Prix here. 26 laps around Silverstone. Can we make an upset on our teammate once again here as 5 lights are out and we're underway, and a lot of smoke come off the Ferrari cars, but we've had a shocking start actually, and the Red Bull Ricciardo's round the outside into turn 1. We just about managed to skate down the inside and get back into P4. Meanwhile, Magnussen's also lost a position there, 2 on the Ferrari cars, as we have a huge lockup on the front right tyre into Village, and we've lost not only 1 but 2 places maybe to both Red Bull cars. Verstappen now is ahead of us. Ricciardo's trying to once again re-overtake us then, so Verstappen must have got Ricciardo into turn 1, but that was a bad lockup and reminiscent of the one we had at the Chinese Grand Prix, if you remember, on the opening lap there. Just kind of, you know, the brakes were a bit cold maybe, underestimated how heavy the car was into Village, and so we're down the order. We have to try and re-overtake 1 car to get back into P4, but Magnussen, the man on pole, has lost his first place, and he's trying to get that back from, I think that's Kimi Räikkönen in the lead at the moment as he goes down the inside of the Iceman, and our teammates trying to get the lead back of the British Grand Prix. The Haas Ferrari goes toe-to-toe once again with the Works Ferrari car, and Magnussen on the outside turns to the inside then for their second last corner, through to the last, still keeping the foot in, but Kimi is doing a great job there, but Magnussen gets the elbows out and he's managed to get it. He's back into first, and there goes Vettel now, side by side. The 2 Ferraris were going. Vettel's pushed Räikkönen wide. Verstappen's lost some time there. We're going to close up to Verstappen, lift off a little, don't slam to the back of Verstappen, and now a lock up from the Iceman, so he's lost his cool there, and he was in first. He's now down to third. We're down the inside of Verstappen, and we're going to be back up into P4, and now can we try and capitalise on this and try and maybe get a flustered Räikkönen for P3 in this Grand Prix, whilst our teammate leads the way from Sebastian Vettel. Meanwhile, behind us looks like Verstappen is trying to desperately hang on to P5 as his teammate, and I think that was Fernando Alonso, also attacks him a little bit as we move on now to the end of lap 2, down the back straight towards Stowe. No DRS quite yet, but pure slipstream here with Rich Mix going and ERS on hot lap. Down the inside we go of Stowe, big dive, and then we open up the steering wheel and pray that Räikkönen doesn't pull alongside us. He doesn't. He's lost the time already. Mid-apex he'd already lost the corner even before I had that bit of a tank slapper, and we're up into third place, but that's easier said than done, because through the last corner the AI are very good through the last corner compared to me, and so Räikkönen is going to maybe try pop. Yes, he does. Down the inside, there he'll go, and we've gone a little bit wide, lift off a little bit to give him the room on the outside to the inside eventually for Village, and he's got us. We're going to stick behind though, because I think technically we might be able to get the DRS there, because I think Räikkönen was just a whisker ahead of us before the detection point, so let's see there. Yes, we will. We do have DRS there on the bottom right, so just about waiting for that line there to activate it. The rear flap opens and try and reduce the drag and try and get the slipstream of Räikkönen to the inside. Will go. He'll try and block it off, and we had a lock up on the front left, and we got oh so close to actually taking Räikkönen out there, so I can count myself lucky that we didn't have a bit of a crash there. So last minute lockups kind of saved me in a way into that left-hander, so we're going to have to wait then for the end of the lap maybe. As I mentioned, in qualifying we were very strong through Maggots and Beckett's, and in the race it's no different through the old turn 1 cops there, trying to scrub off as little time as we can, but not really successful. As you can see, the Red Bull is right up my chuff there. Verstappen trying to even make a little bit of a move into the beginning of Maggots and Beckett's, but as we fly through here, picking up the pace, pick up the traction very early compared to Räikkönen, looks like. Open DRS, Rich Mix going, and also you can see we're still on hot lap mode on ERS there, although I need to worry about that a little bit, because the battery store is going quite down there. We're in the last third of the battery store as we make that pass, then looking behind me and trying to maybe keep ahead of Räikkönen as he pulls to the outside there, defending to the inside line, scrub off the speed and go a little bit wide, as now Magnussen sets purple, then Vettel goes purple, so those two are really fighting hard and pushing each other hard for 1 and 2 in this race. Meanwhile, Räikkönen is still pushing me hard for third place. He tries it on the outside, and this time, unlike previously, he's unable to get that move because we're on the inside there, and we defended that quite well. So now Magnussen is in eventually on lap 6, so a bit of an early stop there from Magnussen. So I don't know, he might be going onto the hard tyres actually, or not the hard tyres, the super hards, the blue wall tyre, the disgusting tyre that you just don't want to go on, to be honest. And I was very surprised when a lot of AI cars went on that tyre last season, and so lo and behold, I think my teammate might be going on that, with now Vettel also coming in shortly enough, and Räikkönen now has gone right round the outside, and actually now we've got more things to worry about in this race, and there might be a reason why Räikkönen went very easily around my outside, and why this entire race, to be honest, I felt like the cars around me were catching up to me very, very easily, and you can see the Red Bull, which obviously we had the straight line speed over so many times so far this season, has waltzed past me there down the inside of Cops, and as I go down to lower ERS mode to try and save battery store to use it on the exit of Magnus and Beckett's to go towards Stowe, you saw that entire time I was showing my heads-up display, the engine is very, very warm, the internal combustion engine, and it looks like also the MGUH yellow on the indicator, so I might be down a little bit of power, to be honest, as we now go back down the inside of Ricciardo to make the overtake on the Aussie to get back ahead, and using the ERS to good effect as we move on now to the very next lap, and again saving ERS. We're in medium there on ERS. We even go down to lean mixture, so this is how much time I'm getting through Magnus and Beckett's. I'm able to save the fuel, save the battery store through those corners, as you might expect actually, through corners obviously, and now on the straight we deploy the ERS, go on richer fuel, and round the outside with DRS we're able to re-overtake Raikkonen back up into second place, and we're on lap 9, and Vettel is yet to come in yet, so that just shows how early that stop was for Magnussen. But yeah, this entire race now, I'm not going to lie, might be a bit of a struggle for us in terms of, we now know that constantly, no matter what the car, they're going to maybe have a bit of advantage on us in terms of our engine definitely is a little bit worn and is definitely going to be a little bit down on power, because my engineers also said that I might feel that down of power kind of feeling there. So as we come in now, along with the Red Bull, and also in the background was the papaya orange of Fernando Alonso's McLaren. Vettel's in at the same time ahead of us, and we're going to come in for those medium tyres. I believe Vettel has gone to the set of blue super hards as we get ahead of the McLaren, who seems to ghost through us there. I think Ricciardo's on a set of mediums, so I think the only, ironically, the ones in first and second place are the ones that have gone on the harder compounded tyres, with the rest of us have all gone on softer medium tyres. Raikkonen had already come in one lap earlier than myself and Ricciardo, so it'll be interesting to see if he may get an undercut. Let's see as we come out the pit lane then. Where is that red car? Is he anywhere inside? There he is, and Raikkonen just about manages to slot in behind us, and we just about get ahead of the Iceman. So he nearly made the undercut work, to be honest. Maybe one split second later on the brakes, maybe going to the pit lane, and I would have been behind Raikkonen, but to be honest, that won't matter for him, because I've come out on cold medium tyres. He's got hot mediums, they're up to temperature, and he's got DRS more crucially. Down the inside he goes then as we try and feed it around the outside. We do actually find a good amount of grip there, but we go a little bit too deep then, and Raikkonen's able to sail through into Luffield and get that ahead of us, so we have to wait patiently again for that exit of Beckett's towards Stowe. Then DRS here, you can see at the moment we're trying to save battery power with medium ERS, so we stick behind Kimi, we get right up his gearbox there, but for now just going to stick behind because I need to try and save up the ERS charge, because more than ever now, as Fernando Alonso and Ricciardo go side by side, Alonso ahead of the Red Bull man at the moment, so Alonso doing really well, like I mentioned in qualifying, doing well to drag the McLaren up, ironically in a race where I talked about at the very start of the Grand Prix episode about the McLaren nerf being so, you know, kind of gutting to see for the McLaren's sake and for Alonso's sake, but Alonso does really well to stay ahead of Ricciardo so far into turn 1, so using the good aerodynamics maybe to good use there in that car. But like I was saying, I need to try and save up the ERS store, because more than ever now, with the engine being a bit down on power, me deploying high or overtake mode or hot lap mode on ERS is going to be even more important than usual here. So here we go now for our second attempt now, and this time we can actually deploy some high ERS, and down the inside we go of Stowe. So difference made of DRS, but the difference in higher ERS modes is able to get us past there. But you can see with the purple lap times being set by Magnussen and Vettel, once again those two, the German and the Dane, pushing each other flat out here in this Grand Prix so far, but I go and set a purple lap time as well, so maybe the track is getting faster and faster. But saying that, it's now time to calm things down, because the safety car is out here. I don't know quite what for, because there's no incident anywhere near us, but we'll find out, I suppose. But the full safety car is out now for a second season in a row at Silverstone. Last year it was right at the start on lap 1, this time around a little bit later, and this is why a fight between Ericsson and I think that's Ocon maybe, and Ericsson gets spewed off onto the grass there. And it looked like he had maybe a bit of a brakes failure in before Stowe, and so he parks it up there. That's why the safety car was called out. Quite an easy safety car to throw out there by Charlie Whiting. Then under the safety car, here is a replay of whilst we're going round under yellows, Ricciardo is going to retire from the British Grand Prix with a major engine failure there. So really unlucky for the Aussie. That's under the safety car. He retired. So, you know, you're thinking, okay, I can save a bit of fuel and get ready for this restart there. Nope, the engine's going to blow up. So, unfortunate times there for the Aussie man. But the man who had a retirement last race for an engine failure is right ahead of us. Sebastian Vettel in second. My teammate still leading the way as we now wait for the green. And the tyre temps aren't too bad, to be honest. I think I've done a much better job than we did last year at bringing up the tyre temperatures. But still, the brakes are a little bit cold maybe. And the tyres obviously aren't at peak ideal condition. No matter how much kind of weaving you do under the safety car, you can't get the temperatures up to high enough as the racing conditions want them to. And so Raikkonen's down the inside, and as we go through full throttle into turn one, we just about managed to keep ahead of Kimi, and behind him is Fernando Alonso, his old Ferrari teammate Alta maybe sniffing around, but at the moment the top two are getting away from us, and again Vettel, Magnussen straight on pressurising each other for the race lead there. So they're in a bit of a world of their own, to be honest. I don't actually fancy myself catching up to those two unless they want to start scrapping away quite a bit, and then they maybe kind of lose each other some time maybe in the next couple of laps. But for now, I'm kind of looking behind me more than forwards at Raikkonen, because he's looking very, very dangerous. And, you know, obviously every single straight, every single exit of every corner, I'm feeling the lack of power due to our worn engine. Around the outside we go to try and defend and try and keep this position. Kimi on the inside doing well, but we're going to squirt the throttle down the inside. You can see the car juts forward as I put the foot down on the throttle. We just about stay ahead of Raikkonen so far, so doing a good bit of defensive driving to keep ahead of the works Ferrari car, and all the while that's going to help Vettel and Magnussen get away from us. But if they continue to fight, as like I said, we might be able to close in on that scrap. But for now, Alonso has a bit of a look into Raikkonen as we go into Magnussen. Beckett actually is looking behind briefly, and onto the Force India. He's not too far behind as we cut on then up the road. Here is Vettel with DRS open now on Magnussen. Both of them on those blue super hard tyres, which I still find a little bit odd, but there goes Vettel then down the inside for the race lead. And can Magnussen this time round find a way to defend? He defended Raikkonen successfully earlier on the race. Can he defend against Sebastian Vettel? Down the inside he goes, but Vettel, as they two jockey for position, you can see the two cars go toe to toe and just go back and forth through the last corner. But Vettel will have the last laugh, and through the last corner he gets it and squeezes out Magnussen, much like the way Magnussen squeezed out Raikkonen, actually, ironically, on in the opening stages of the race. But Magnussen comes back on the next lap down the inside of Beckett. Magnussen, oh, can't pull it off. He nearly did. I would have applauded him for sure. I would have applauded my AI teammate there 100% if he made that move. That was very bold. The Haas Works team is really taking the fight to the Ferrari car. And here goes Magnussen now with DRS, probably a more civilised pass down the inside there. And he's going to slam on the throttle as early as he can. But Vettel will get it a little bit earlier and get the traction. He defends. But Magnussen on the outside. Vettel's locked up on the front right tire. The two go toe-to-toe again in the two last corners. And this time around, look how much time they're losing now, because we're closing up as Magnussen does squeeze out Vettel and gets the race lead back for Haas and himself. Vettel down to P2, and now look at this, we're closing rapidly now up to Vettel along with Raikkonen. You can see on the mini-map there, Raikkonen, Alonso, the Force India, all of us are closing up. So the entire kind of top 6, I would say, almost top 7, we're all bunching up now. This can be a very thrilling end to the Grand Prix. We've only got 6 laps left in this race, and we've got DRS. We're within 1 second of Vettel here. So this just got a little bit interesting. Could we bag P2? And I don't know, dare I say, even, with engine issues, maybe even P1 later on this Grand Prix. Let's see, as Vettel now is starting to pull away from us a little bit. We don't have DRS now, so we're just about over 1 second away. But there goes Vettel down the inside of Stowe to ruin the party for us here at Haas, as Magnussen tries his best again to be down the inside to defend Vettel. And again, these two will lose time. But for the third time in this race, those two will go side by side to the last two corners and lose each other time. And this time, Vettel again squeeze out Magnussen for P1 in this Grand Prix as we move on to lap 21 through turn 1. Magnussen loses a lot of time. We lift off to make sure we don't slam to the back of our teammate, of course. It's a different matter trying to close up on other cars, but I definitely don't want to take the risk of going a bit too eagerly into the back of Magnussen and trying to overtake him straight away. But this has got very, very tense, because P1 is just there, and you can see the way Magnussen and Vettel are going back and forth. I'm hoping that we can join the party, but Raikkonen might have other ideas, and here he comes, closing down the inside. But there goes Magnussen as well down the inside. It's a 2-by-2 situation. Magnussen around the outside of Vettel, Raikkonen around the outside of me, and this is great battling for P2 and P1 and P3 and P4. Absolutely amazing stuff. And now look at that in the background. Raikkonen's been squeezed out by me, and now Alonso fancies overtaking Raikkonen down the inside of Cops maybe, and the Force India's also getting into the mix, and the Force India tries to find his way round the Spaniard. So Alonso goes from attacking Raikkonen to now defending, I think that's Sergio Perez, into Magnussen Beckett. I think Perez has the better of Alonso. So Perez up into what will be P5, I think that is, as now we got on the back of Vettel. Here we go. DRS to maybe overtake P2 as we go towards Stowe, deploying ERS. Rich mix as well. DRS gaining, but not quite enough as we enter the brake zone there. But it looks like our car is really planted through Stowe, because on the exit there you can see the traction we've got on Vettel now down the inside into the chicane. Maybe he's locked up on both front tyres, but a bit of contact is made and Vettel is able to keep ahead through the second last corner to the last, get the power down, open DRS, but he'll have DRS off Magnussen. And then look at this, Raikkonen is going to try and overtake us. So as I try to overtake one Ferrari, the other one comes down my inside there. We've nearly lost the back end, just about control there. And now,
okay, some information on Magnussen. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
we've got a radio message there that Magnussen has some sort of issue. So as I get flustered myself being overtaken by one Ferrari, Magnussen might just have more pain on his way, because if he's got some sort of major issue there, he's going to be slower and slower as we go on to the last 4 laps of this Grand Prix. And now I've got the Force India for company of Sergio Perez, but can we try and tag back onto the back of the Ferraris as Magnussen is slow, and evidently he is. I mean, through Luffield, look how slow he's going there on the exit. Maybe he can hold the Ferraris up and I can try and capitalise. So maybe Magnussen can do me a solid here, and if he's going to retire eventually out this Grand Prix, do me a favour here at my home race. No, doesn't look like it. Vettel's round the outside and Raikkonen through Copse round the outside. Magnussen does get the elbows out a little bit there, so maybe we can close up on Kimi as they go side by side, but ultimately Raikkonen is going to get that place, and Magnussen so slow through the middle of Magnussen Beckett that he almost ploughs as a bus stop to me, and almost plough into the back of him. We go around the outside even before we get onto the straight there. Open DRS, rich mix going, also high overtake mode in ERS, but we're 3 wide there with the Force India on the left. Look at this straight line speed Perez has got as we go down the inside of both of them to make a double overtake and get back up into P3, but Perez is right on the back of us. He's going to send one down the inside there, the Mexican out of nowhere, showing the improvement of the Force India. And that's why, as I said earlier on the episode, that's why I'm a little bit irked, because the Force India was never anywhere near this good in the first half of the season, and just like that, with the patch, the Force India is now right up here fighting us, and it doesn't sit right with me, because it just feels like all the effort McLaren put in is now to waste, as now we watch a McLaren overtake Magnussen, and a big issue for Bottas there with a big lock up into Luffield section. And so the Mercedes cars having a really torrid time at their home Grand Prix, isn't it? As now we watch Perez now battle Alonso down the inside. Alonso somehow got ahead of Perez then, I'm assuming, and Perez is now back down the inside. He's got him. Meanwhile, we've got Van Dorn fighting Hamilton in the background, and Van Dorn remains ahead of Hamilton. So both McLarens are beating the Mercedes cars. Definitely not something I thought you'd ever be saying, ever, really, if you look at real life. But meanwhile now, we've got a fight at the top between Vettel and Raikkonen. Raikkonen with the DRS on the left-hand side to make the move for the race lead. He's on the faster compounder tyres, and there he goes into the lead of the British Grand Prix. But ultimately, it's still a 1-2 for Ferrari. But Vettel is the lead Ferrari in the championship, so that might be a big swing then for Raikkonen, maybe, as he goes and sets a purple lap time then as we go into the last lap of the Grand Prix. And here comes a very rapid Mexican of Sergio Perez down my inside. We try and pull it on the outside there. Perez still there, his front wing, you can just about see it. We squeeze him to the inside there, but he switches us and he goes around the outside then. He's got the traction, he dives it down the inside, squirts the throttle, and we're going to brake a little bit earlier, try and switch back, move on him. It doesn't work out, and Perez has been bold, he's been brave on the last lap, and he's got third place for now, but we've got still a whole lap left pretty much, and we know how strong we can be in Sector 2, so let's be patient, don't panic. We haven't lost third place yet, we're still right there for the taking. Just need to make sure we keep up with him through Luffield, and then the exit towards Copse, and then Magnussen Beckett. That's the zone where I can catch up on the Force India for sure. The Force India may have been upgraded with the patch, but this Haas car is a monster in chassis terms. It's so light, so nimble, and so every single little high-speed change of direction corner, we have got it over the entire grid, really, let alone just the Force India car. So here we go now through Maggots and then Beckett's then, and just trying to save up the ERS as well. We're medium there with standard fuel mixture as well, and here we go. We're going to have DRS, ERS and fuel mixture, all the RSs here this afternoon, and here we go, climbing in slipstream, pull to the right hand side, down the inside. It's going to be a very simple and pedestrian pass down the inside of Perez, and so he might have been very overexcited that he got into third place in the podium position here at Silverstone, but alas, it's not going to be. He tries it around the outside, but we got it covered off on the inside through the second last corner to the last. Raikkonen is going to win the British Grand Prix. We're going to come home on the podium at our home race.
Great drive. We're really happy with that performance.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. So, Ant, How exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you hit the fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So ultimately, it didn't feel like a great performance actually from us as a team. Obviously, Magnussen retiring and that entire race because of the engine issues. I just felt like an absolute slow turtle there. So a good recovery drive, I'd say, to get P3. And to be fair, against our main championship rival right now, which is Magnussen, you know, we did the job and he's got 0 points. We've got 15 there. So that's going to be really big for our Drivers' Championship lead. But in the end, it's a bit of a sour taste because he retires from what was a race lead there. And if the Ferraris were fighting as hard as they did at the end, and you had me involved as well, who knows, Magnussen could have won that race, and so it would have been 2 apiece of race wins this season, but alas, it'll just be Magnussen's 1 win to my 2 so far, and we couldn't repeat what we did in Austria, but we remain in the lead of the constructors as well. Obviously, Ferrari still strong in second there, ahead of Mercedes. McLaren climb up ahead of Red Bull Racing, interestingly enough, there with Fernando Alonso and Van Dorn with a strong finish, and of course Ricciardo's DNF there does not help their situation. So although the McLaren may have been nerfed, they're still doing a great job to be ahead of Red Bull in the championship there. But we're going to move on then to the interview post-race.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. Do you think your rival learned from his battle with you?
So here it's a no-brainer for me. Obviously the answer has to be, I think he's found out he needs a better car, to be honest, because it failed him today. So not a fair question really there from Claire. I think it wasn't his fault that he retired.
Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race.
It didn't really go away today though, did it? Because I think Claire's forgetting about the engine issue, so I'm going to go with no comment there. Not going to answer that question there.
That was a close finish. How are things between the two of you?
And obviously, as the rivalry's gone on between me and Vettel's been back and forth, so I'm going to say it's heated. It's a good fight for the fans.
What happened with your fuel strategy today?
Didn't really know where to go with this one because I didn't really feel like I was too marginal fuel at the end there. But I'm going to try and maybe motivate the power unit team and tell me to do something there and look into that maybe for the next race onwards.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so with that, we'll end out the episode. You can see at the moment we are probably going to win that rivalry then with Magnussen, so it'll be 4-1. At the moment, we still lead the one with Vettel. That's not yet finished, but there we go. We do win the rivalry with Magnussen, although, to be fair, he has got very unlucky a few times so far, in this past couple of races, not to, obviously get the results that he deserved, especially this race then. As we move on to the end of the episode, we're going to look towards some upgrades then. So we've obviously got the ultimate tyre upgrade coming in for the, it should be the German Grand Prix, so literally next episode then. Obviously, it's reduced by 1 week due to our contract. The ultimate upgrade only takes 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. But we're going to purchase the major brakes update there because I feel like we need to delve into maybe more of the chassis because we haven't really touched the chassis department this season so far. And then also, going along lines with what I said in the interview, I think I'm going to look into the engine and look into the fuel consumption because I think, lately we've been running a lot of rich mix. So let's try and do an upgrade on the fuel efficiency. And so it might allow us to run even more rich mix in the races to help us out because it definitely has done. And then finally, more crucially, we're going to make sure for the first time this season we change components. To be fair, I've been impressed with our reliability. It's been epic. It's round number 12, and only now are we going to the second column on engine components. That's very, very impressive, actually. So we've got 3 upgrades on the pending there. So looking forward to the coming races to see how those upgrades go for us. But guys, if you did enjoy this episode, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'm Ava. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.